One of the use cases that comes up very, very regularly, especially in the government, is relationship-based access. And again, this can actually be applied to the healthcare facilities. It can be applied to the finance industry. And what relationship-based access means is I want to make sure that I have a family member who works in the government or works at the same bank that I do my banking with or works at the hospital I am a patient of. I want to make sure that those family members can't log in, can't access my personal information, and have those details behind the scenes. It can make for some awkward conversations, especially at the dinner table or family gatherings. In this use case, the way it works is if a government representative, somebody who's maybe working the phones, working with citizen data, if that user logs into their tool, and if they tried to access that family member's relationship data, the policy then is able to come in, take a look at who that user is. Do they have a relationship with that individual? If they do have a relationship, deny them access right away. And not only are we looking to just simply either permit or deny, we also want to be able to come in and be able to audit to make sure, again, only those right people have access to information and that they haven't been accessing information that they shouldn't. So it's not just about just-in-time access for making sure that you have access at the right time and place. We want to make sure that in the past you haven't been accessing the wrong information, which is why the auditing and compliance becomes so important. I find that this is a really interesting use case for our policy companion. So if we look at it, we've got a use case of government representatives can access citizen data only once the citizen has granted access. So really what we're saying is, as a government representative, I shouldn't be able to log into the tools that I have access to and be able to access every citizen's data. What should happen is, as I call up that government representative, I, as the citizen, am authorizing my data to be accessed by the government representative. So that's the first aspect. The second aspect is if I just happen to call my brother John and he picks up the phone and tries to access my information, because there's a relationship, he'll get denied access to my information. So what does that really look like? If I come in and analyze this information, if I break that out, as soon as I do that, it's going to end up coming back with not just one policy, but it's actually going to highlight that there's two policies to drive this behavior. The first is, again, uh, government representatives, if they access citizen data and the citizen has granted that individual access, they're going to be permitted. But then we also have that deny use case that says, if there's a relationship, deny them access. And if I copy that back and if I generate the alpha, it's going to end up coming back with a little bit longer set of policies to drive that. And by longer, I mean maybe about 2 or 3 lines long. It's not just about being able to take the natural language and convert that. The other side of it is taking the policy that's been created. And if I think, fast forward 6 months to a year later, I've got a series of policies. And as a business user, I might not know all of the different use cases. So what I can do is I can actually come in, take the policies that have been created, and if I want to interpret them, what's going to end up happening is, what it's going to end up doing is it's going to take the entire policy stack, and this could be 2 policies long, or it could be hundreds of policies long. And it's going to start by giving me a summary as far as what is actually happening with this use case and start to break it down further and further with the different elements within the use case.
And this is an interesting scenario, especially when you have changes in your teams or new changes in the business. If you want to validate or understand what has been done so far, why you've built those policies, and if you want to re-engage with the business or any other people, to kind of revalidate that. So that's we know that teams are and not static. It's dynamic environment. People are coming and going. So you really need to be able to have this translator. I would say this business translator between those in charge of the IAM and building the policies directly into the application, and those who are actually looking at that are outwards going, looking for customers, citizens, patient, whatever, and making sure that as they own they're liable of the application's behavior, that what they've put as a requirement for the application is covered by the policy. So it's a good translator.
The one topic that I often bring up when it comes to the translator is, and this doesn't happen as much as it used to, but in the past, developers would often create backdoors within the
Yeah.
applications that they'd created. And a backdoor is simply a set of authorizations that they've included as part of the policies to give them elevated privileges. There's some great stories in the past. In fact, great stories in the past of individuals who have actually bankrupted companies by doing wrongful trading. There's actually been movies on this, but what you can use the translator for is I'm not a developer, but if I'm able to take the policies that have been written and I can identify really quickly that there's a policy in here that says grant Bob elevated access, well, that gives me the information I need to shut that down really quickly.
Exactly. So it facilitates the collaboration within different teams, which sometimes are not talking to each other, and it facilitates the conversation. So let's say it's a conversation breaker. So
It is. It is. It helps developers to communicate with the business stakeholders. That's definitely so, and vice versa, business stakeholders to articulate what they actually mean in terms of developers' language, so they can take that plain language policy, what we have just demonstrated, and trying to explain in terms of, okay, so this is the what is the action and what is the attributes, and so on and so on. So the communication goes much faster, and then there are no Chinese walls between those two groups, because quite often there was difficult to communicate and collaborate between business and technical teams. So it is definitely helping them to continue their business and improve their quality of their applications when it comes to access control.